We got waylaid.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let him speak for a moment or two also. My little boy wants to give a little speech. And we're going to get this rolled out pretty soon here. We're just looking for Adam. So Adam.
Excuse me.
Adam is with Turning Point USA, a faith-based group. And Adam has been coming out to all of these rallies and supporting us in any way he can. And he is a patriot and a Christian and a freedom lover. And we're working on getting a sound system here, I think. So hang in there, folks. And thank you so much for being here. And with any luck, they'll come out and talk to one of us so they can report, you know, the other side of the story instead of just reporting what they want to report, just one side of the science. Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to report, they're supposed to research both sides of a debate and then let us decide what's true. That is not what is happening. And gubernatorial candidate Mike Murphy is always here, is also here, so you should get to know him as well.
Rosanna's here.
Hi.
There's Alan.
Hello.
All right. I think that's going to be a little easier. I don't have to carry this megaphone. And so we're going to start off. We're going to start off with a prayer. And Adam, I'm going to hand it over to you right now.
How many of you love freedom here today? All right. How many of you still love our great state of Minnesota? We are here gathered today as Minnesotans to send a message to Governor Walz that we say no to tyranny. And we're gathered here at a very specific location today because apparently in front of the Capitol building, none of the news want to even cover anything. That's because there is a message that's so important here today that we need to speak over and pray over. So I'm going to kick us off in prayer today. My name is Adam Domeyer, and I work for Turning Point USA. We're based out of Hudson, Wisconsin, and we're here to unite today across party lines because it's no longer red versus blue. This is good versus evil. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come here today under the only name under heaven by which we can be saved, and that is the name of Jesus Christ. And we speak this bold and unashamedly. And we ask right now that you will watch over every single person here. Your word says that when there are 2 to 3 gathered together, you are there in the midst of them. And here we are. And we are more than 2 to 3 gathered here today. And we come together in your name. And we ask right now that you will watch over every single person here today, no matter where they're at in their faith. I ask, God, that you draw them to you. I ask that you will save us, Lord. Sanctify us, Lord. And I pray right now over our great state of Minnesota. Romans 13 says we are to submit to authorities. But we in the United States of America are a government made up of, we are of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are the authorities in the United States. The governing, the elected officials submit to us. So we pray as we defy these mandates, we are not going against the Word of God. We are standing up for the Word. As Romans 12:21 says, that we overcome evil with good. And that is exactly what we are doing here today, is standing up. Because last time I checked, as far as Thomas Jefferson said, he said these words: I would prefer dangerous freedom to peaceful slavery. Because resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. So, Lord, we submit to you. We submit to you, Lord. And we ask that you watch over our land, because we're not going to abandon this state and move to Texas and Florida. We are going to stay here and stand our ground and declare freedom over our state. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Adam. So Adam's with Turning Point USA. You should look up that group. They're on Facebook. I believe they have a website too. So my son is going to give his little speech now. He's very, very brave and courageous. And so let's give him a shot at it. You ready, Bo?
I'm an American, and I am free. I want to stay free. I have been learning about American history, and I now know that America is the greatest country in the history of the world. The freedom that our founding fathers gave us is what makes this country so great. If the government starts to take away our freedoms and doesn't let us choose what we put in our own bodies, I'm afraid of what might come next. This is my body and my life, and it was given to me by God. My parents should be the only ones that can make decisions about my health. I trust my parents because I know they love me. The government doesn't even know me. They should protect my freedoms, not take them away. I don't need the government to babysit me. This is not easy for me, but my parents helped me understand what this fight is all about. I don't want to wear masks. They are gross and they hide my smile. They make it hard for me to talk and breathe. I'm sick of the coronavirus and I just want to go back to normal. Amen. My parents pray with me that God will help the world see the truth. We pray that we can stay strong and smart to keep fighting for the good. Please keep fighting with us. My family will never stop fighting for your freedom. We love every single one of you. Thanks for being here with us.
How you doing, Jackson?
Good. I gotta show you something.
You got something good?
Kid brings tears to my eyes. He does that. I prepared a little speech here, given quite a few of them, so I try not to be redundant. But you know, it is not the government's job to monitor my health or your health. They have overreached and overstepped their bounds.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's our choice what we put in our body. It has to be our choice. And if we give up that freedom, we've lost everything. What would be next? Bodily autonomy is the very essence of living in freedom. If we lose that autonomy, I can't even imagine what's coming next. And it's not their job, using the media as their mouthpiece, to decide which science is correct. It's this mob think mentality. Everything that comes out of their outlets is just this one single narrative. They won't let anyone like Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Malone be on any of these networks. And I can't help but wonder if maybe part of that is because the pharmaceutical industry provides 50% or more of their budget.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
I mean, what's going to happen if they start reporting these things daily about myocarditis in young men? Will Big Pharma then pull their ad revenue? You know, Do we need a great reset, as Klaus Schwab says? No. What we need is a great revival of faith, family, and community. When communities engage with one another, when people know each other and communicate with each other in their neighborhoods, personal responsibility becomes contagious. When you know your neighbors and you can talk to your neighbors and tell them your feelings, you can rid yourself of anxiety and stress and isolation. We can stop being so afraid if we can talk to our neighbors, if there's an actual community where we know each other. We can rid ourselves of all these fears. You know, this stress and the fear that's being pumped out of that mouthpiece, we know now, the science shows us clearly that stress and fear will destroy your mind, it will ruin your body, and destroy your spirit. All this stress they're just stacking on top of these people, all the fear that's being pumped out is destroying people. Right now, this government is outwardly and viciously promoting fear and isolation. And it's dividing us, and it's destroying our communities, which is leading to an illness of the mind, body, and the spirit. And that is the real pandemic right now. The loss of community. When we rid ourselves of this toxic division and to begin once again to reach out to our neighbors with loving hands and kind gestures, no matter which side of the political spectrum you fall on, no matter what your religious convictions, if we can come together once again as communities, we can elevate one another to a state of mind and health that will become symbiotic in nature. We can heal one another. We can all achieve better lives by working together as communities and getting to know each other. Community and reaching out like we are right here. Communities have been falling apart for the last 40 years. When I was a kid, we ran the neighborhood. We knew our neighbors. We knew their business, for better or worse. But when we had issues, we would talk to each other. We would support each other, engage one another. That is going away. And now, with this current state of affairs, they're isolating us even more. All this division is destroying us. So I thank all of you for coming out here and being involved with this community. We need to keep growing this effort, this grassroots effort, so we can stand up against this tyranny. So, thank you guys so much for being here. And being courageous, and for spreading the word, and being critical thinkers. I want to introduce Connie. Some of you may have saw Connie on the Stu Peters show. So Connie Thatch and her sister Ann Sikora are now operating members, whatever you want to call it. We don't have titles in our organization, but Stop the Mandate MN. So Connie and Ann have volunteered to help me out, and they have a wealth of knowledge and information that can help inform all of us. True patriots, willing to stand up and be courageous against all of this nonsense. And so you'll see more of Connie and Ann moving forward, but I wanted both of them to say whatever's on their minds right now. So, who wants to talk first? Let's go with Ann.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ann. And oh, okay. So, me and my sister are first generation born Americans from parents who immigrated here from Vietnam. We're actually Chinese, not Vietnamese, but so my family has a long history of war, right? My grandma had to immigrate to Vietnam because of the Chinese-Japanese war, and then they went to North Vietnam, and then they communism took over, and then so they lost everything. and then they had to migrate all the way down to the South Vietnam, and eventually they became boat people. So that's how we came here. My entire family, like, there were 20-something people on the boat, and they actually were boat people, and they came here to the U.S. because they believed the land in freedom, opportunity. They actually helped the American soldiers in Vietnam. They were translators and stuff. They believed in the opportunity here in the U.S. And so now we're here, and we've never protested before, but because of our background, we believe in the freedom. So, so thank you. The one thing that I feel passionate about is to inform everybody on some of the technical understanding of why these jabs or injections are questionable. And one thing that everybody should know, I'm just trying to help you give some informed consent, is that these vaccines, or so-called vaccines, are not FDA approved. They are not legally FDA approved. They did a word salad, right? Pfizer had Comirnaty that was approved, but Comirnaty is only available outside of the U.S. And it's been confirmed with Pfizer reps that none of the Comirnaty stuff is in the United States. So what they did was they approved Comirnaty and then said some of the EUA lots here in the U.S. were formulation equivalent. Yeah. And so those lots, though, are still under EUA. And by law, an EUA cannot be mandated. It is illegal to coerce people and mandate an EUA drug, an injection. And also these nanoparticles that they use to basically, this new technology that's never, ever been mass experimented on in the U.S. So the nanoparticles now are known, they're showing that they actually spread all over your body. So when they inject it into your arm, about 75% of it actually can travel to all of your other organs, the brain and your heart, your kidneys, and all of that. And so when you hear about myocarditis, it's actually people who actually have an adverse reaction to it. But actually what's actually also happening is they have microclotting that can actually happen in the body that you don't know about until you stress your body through physical exertion. And like these athletes that are falling in the middle of soccer games and stuff like that, it's because they're stressing their body and they're finding out that this microclottings and the damage of the heart is occurring. And when you damage your heart muscles, there's certain organs in your body that will not regenerate. The heart is one of them, the brain, the kidney. So once those cells are scarred, they won't grow back, right? So this is all part of your informed consent, and I just want you all to feel empowered knowing technical information. This is all information. I'm basically being an ambassador of Dr. McCullough, who is actually one of our nation's most compassionate clinical doctor/researcher. He has over 600 peer-reviewed papers out there. He wants to save lives. He's been on the front lines. He has gotten COVID. He's gotten over it. And he has tried to demonstrate to people that once you have natural immunity, that is good and robust. And he's actually gone to people's homes that have the Delta variant and basically helped them recover from it. So I just want you all to know that you can feel confident in wherever you stand, whether you're vaccinated or not, but we're all in this together. And we all just need to support each other and understand that this is something that's just never happened before, and we need to have our medical freedoms, because institutions and government and workplaces should not give a one-size-fit-all approach to our health. That's right. Thank you. You hear my sister, honey.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining Mark Bashofsky, Stop the Mandate, Minnesota.org, and all of us here. Thank you for being part of history. I'm 37 years old and I never thought I'd live in all of my life where I'm actually standing up here and protesting. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here together and fighting for a very important cause. Whether you are vaccinated or not, whether you are of whatever race, creed, religion that you are at, thank you for coming and supporting this. And I'm just going to give a few bullet points to make it short, more so just to give you some good websites to keep on your phone, and then maybe you can look it up yourself and be further informed in your convictions for medical freedom. So there's a declaration of over 13,000 physicians and scientists against the COVID-19 vaccine mandate for children, for those that have COVID-19 recovered with natural immunity. Why? Recently, the FDA asked a federal judge not to release the Pfizer data until the year 2076. Why? I ask why. 79 countries approved ivermectin. Why? Several Nordic countries like Finland, Norway have halted the vaccine for certain people, especially the age of 30 or younger. Why?
Because young men are dying.
Taiwan has more vax deaths than COVID-19 death. Why?
Because of the vax.
So on your phones, if you can whip it out, I want you to remember a couple important websites to stay informed. This is where I kind of also bring forth some of my information. It's globalcovidsummit.org, americasfrontlinedoctors.org, children'shealthdefense.org, truthforhealth.org. Okay?
Can you do the Global Summit one again?
globalcovidsummit.org. There was a conference that's about 7 hours long, and it was recorded in Florida just a couple of weeks ago. I asked that you start with that one first. Start with Dr. Robert Malone's 38-minute lecture that goes into the very technical aspects of the COVID-19 vaccine and what it can do to your bodies, but it actually is very easy to understand. And I encourage you to watch it so that you can stand firmer and more knowledgeable in your convictions in our stand for medical freedom. Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. For people who don't know, the mRNA vaccines are not traditional vaccines because they basically inject viral genetic material into you in the billions, so that your body becomes a factory to create the actual protein that causes issues, right? And additionally, it's scientifically incoherent, as Dr. Ryan Cole says, to be giving you vaccines that were based off the original strain, even though Delta is here.
Yeah.
So once you put this in your body, there is no off switch, right?
But the booster will
So-
take care of that, though, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So this is all the informed consent stuff that doctors should know and be telling you about while you're, sitting down and getting pushed to be injected in this. Ask them why. How is this going to help you if this is not the Delta strain, right? And even the boosters are the Delta. It's not the Delta strain, right? So, just know that you've just basically become a factory to create these spike proteins, and that's why a lot of people are having adverse reactions to it.
And they spread it to others.
They said that in some of these people who have had the injections, they found some of the possible avenues for shedding the exosomes in the skin, the saliva, and that kind of stuff too. And so, so natural immunity is robust because, even though you're producing antibodies, that's not the only part of your immune system, right? Your immune system is very complex, and then so you actually then are protected from the whole virus when you get it naturally, than just the spike part.
So yeah, Anne is a chemist, and Connie is a nurse practitioner. So they are very eligible, credible to be speaking about this stuff. And I really am so grateful that they've joined the team. So they'll both be blogging on the website, helping with the rallies, and helping to inform us all.
Real experts.
And so another thing too, so keep your eye out for maybe a potential for increased cancer rates. Have you heard about the toll cell receptors being turned off? So you have CD8 cells in your body, toll cell receptors. They're on every cell. So they had to necessarily turn those cells off, the toll cell receptors, to get their payload of mRNA into your cell. So these toll cell receptors are their lookout for any cancer cells. So we have no idea. A lot of these side effects can manifest immediately with some people, maybe in months, maybe a year, maybe 2. So, and I always say too, if you feel like you're informed, it should be your right to get the vaccine. But it should also be our right to say no until there have been proper trials. So we're going to have Mike Murphy speak. So yeah, did any of you see the gubernatorial debate this past Tuesday? It was very informative. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it, but the two candidates that are here today were the winners, in my opinion. So, Mike Murphy, everybody.
Good afternoon, Stop the Mandate and brave patriots out here fighting for our First Amendment rights and our Constitution. My name is Mike Murphy, and I'm running to be the next governor of the state of Minnesota, and it's time to send Tim Walz back to Nebraska, where he came from. I never thought our country would come to this, that we would be standing here protesting an unproven, untested vaccine and medical procedure that is forced upon us and our children by Brandon and Walz and the radical left. It's tyranny, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to put tyranny to an end and take our country and our state back right now. Otherwise, we will not have an America anymore. I have a 19-month-old daughter, and I will die for her before I ever let them stick that damn needle in her arm. And all of you should have that same feeling and those opinions. Your medical choices are between you, your doctor, and your God, and not the government.
Yes.
As governor, there will be no cradle-to-grave government as the next governor means. I will not allow that to happen. It's time to take the masks off our children. It's time to rein in the teachers union. Instead, Governor Walz is out pitching $200 gift cards, $100,000 scholarships with your taxpayer money to coerce your children to get a vaccine that is unproven and untested, and we know it doesn't work. People are dying right now through breakthrough cases. Do you want to know who gave that $500 million to Governor Walz to spend? The Rhino Republicans that run the Senate, Paul Gazelka, who I'm running against. He sat in a back room with Speaker Hortman, himself and the governor, and they worked out a $500 million deal for Tim Walz to spend whatever way that he wants. And that guy now wants to be the next governor of this great state. I don't think so. There will be transparency, integrity, and honesty underneath my administration, and I will make sure all of you have a voice at the Capitol, that your elected leaders are held accountable, that we're going to shrink the size of Minnesota government, and we're going to make it efficient and effective and make sure that you are being heard all the time. We are going to protect our constitutional rights. And for those of you that do not know, I'm an elected mayor of the city of Lexington, which is in southern Anoka County. And to prove that I am capable of doing that already, I declared my city a Second Amendment sanctuary city, the only one in the Twin Cities metro. And I will make this state a Second Amendment sanctuary state, a stand your ground state, and a constitutional carry state. Because we know that we need law and order immediately, and the only way to do that is to protect yourselves. Governor Walz is doing nothing about the crime going on right here. There are children that have been murdered blocks away from machine guns that are on the streets. Did you know there are machine guns in Minneapolis that the gangs and the thugs are using? Where is Tim Walz? Residents of Minneapolis have sent letters to him and the lieutenant governor begging for the National Guard and State Patrol. They've gone unanswered. They've gotten a canned response saying State Patrol and National Guard are not a substitute for a qualified police department. Sure, they might be qualified, but Jacob Fry and the crazy Nazis and Marxists that are sitting in that city hall are not qualified to run that police department.
No, they're not. No.
So number one, we have to get law and order under control. That's how we have a civilized and safe, effective economy and a community. Our faith, family, and freedom is under attack. Number two, well, actually, I got to reverse that because number one, I did sign the Never Again pledge. Sorry, that's my first priority. We're going to get rid of those tyrannical executive powers. And as mayor, I actually did that. I regulated my executive powers as mayor and gave them to my council and to my community. I did that right after I signed the Never Again pledge, because a mayor actually has the same authority as a governor per the Minnesota Constitution under Chapter 12 emergency powers. And I took those away from myself. We should not have tyrannical leaders. I got to think of the calendar in my head. December 8th, I'm introducing a resolution in my town to ban all vaccine mandates, vaccine passports, and we're going to ban the ability for businesses to tell you that you have to have the shot in order to work there. We just finished the language up. It's been approved by the city attorney, and we're ready to take my city back, and we're going to get other cities and other communities across Minnesota to get that resolution passed in their towns, because we know that they're not going to get it done at the Capitol, and we know that all the local control and local government has all the power. So you better start showing up to your city halls, your township meetings, your county board meetings and say, pass this resolution now, because you're not going to mandate medical procedures and vaccines upon me and my family, and that's what needs to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. I know you hear it every year, 2022, 2020, 2024, biggest election ever. 2022 is the election. We will lose our country if we do not take our state back. The only way to save our country is to take our states back so we can fight against the Biden administration and the radical left. And then we have to take our country back at the federal level and start cleaning house. Yes. We have to stand up. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep getting in their faces, as Maxine Waters came when she said, or what she said when she came here, to instill mob justice with the George Floyd trial. This is what a peaceful protest looks like. I don't see any burning or looting going on here, ladies and gentlemen. We got to take our country back and fight against the radical left, Antifa, BLM, everybody. And I'm so glad yesterday was a day for justice for the Second Amendment. The Kyle Rittenhouse was vindicated. Mob justice lost yesterday, and that was a great day for this country. We got to keep the fight going. Don't give up just because winter is coming. We got to stay active. We got to stay in their faces, as Maxine Waters said to quote her. I mean, she is right, but we're not going to burn our towns down over it. We got to take our school boards back. We have to save our children, because if they turn into this giant indoctrination mess that they're trying to push on us, we're done. It's over with.
No more gaslighting.
No more gaslighting. And no more media. And no more big tech. No more control. Shut your TVs off. We're the silent majority that President Trump spoke about. It's time to be loud, and we got to stay loud. We can win this election. We can save our state. We can send Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison, all of those radicals back to where they came from, because this is the greatest country on the face of this planet, and I will not allow Minnesota to fall to tyranny any longer. We're looking for people to join my campaign to save Minnesota. Go to my website, MikeMurphy4MN.com. I also have flyers, brochures. We're looking for people to show up on caucus night on February 1st. Become a delegate and vote for me at the state convention. If you want to do that, please let me know. I'm the only person that will fight for all of you and give your government back because I am one of you. I've just had enough of it. God bless all of you. Keep up the good fight. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark.
So this is community right here. The Sergeant Grundhauser from the St. Paul Police called me the other day. He texted me today, see if we need any help. And they cannot believe how peaceful we are. On our march to the mansion, they could not believe how peaceful and law-abiding we are. So this is community. We need to keep building community just like this. So we're gonna have Dr. Shaw come up here, and then we'll have our keynote speaker, Dr. Matt Scott, will be coming up after Dr. Shaw, and then when we're done, we can have a little Q&A here for Connie and Ann, and Dr. Matt can ask some of your questions, possibly. So I'm going to bring Dr. Neil Shaw up here. He's another gubernatorial candidate to get Walls to go home.
All right, thanks. Can you guys hear me okay? My name is Neil Shaw, and I'm running to get Tim Walz out of office and bring some sanity back to this state. Mark, when we started doing these things back in, whatever that was, August, it was way warmer. Can you get some global warming here just for a little bit?
Bring it on.
All right, so with the number of Let's Go Brandon shirts out here, I think that it's safe to say many of us are on the same team politically. I certainly am a conservative. But I would like to make the point that health freedom is not a partisan issue. And we can confound it as such, but that's not where it belongs. Health freedom is a fundamental human right. And if we don't stand up for that right, it will be taken from us forcibly. As much as the mainstream media wants to gaslight on what's going on with this disease, we've never had a vaccine with this many deaths remain approved. We've never had a vaccine fail this badly to control a disease. And we've never had the imposition of tyranny on this global scale. It is our job to stand up and push back before we end up like Austria, where they're going to round up the unvaccinated, fine them, jail them, or Australia, where you're locked in your house without any hope of getting out. That's where we will go if we do not continue to fight this fight. Absolutely fight now, or you won't have the opportunity to fight later. The career politicians in St. Paul and Washington don't want us to have the right to choose what happens to our bodies, what happens to our children's bodies. They want us to be forced to take this treatment just to hold a job, just to go to school, just to participate in society. That is absolutely and completely wrong and un-American. My parents came to this country 50 years ago because we are a free people. But freedom is never more than a generation from turning into tyranny. And now is the time where we as patriots have to stand up and push back. And we have to do it for all Americans, even if they don't agree with us on everything politically, because this specific issue is too important. I talked with hundreds of people at the state fair. Many of them came up to me and said, you know, I've never considered voting for conservative in my entire life. I've been a left of center voter, but I cannot go along with this infringement on my freedoms. I cannot go along with these unconstitutional mandates. I cannot go along with Tim Walz continuing to take away my choices. And I said, join us. Freedom's not partisan. We'll have you. It's never too late. I mean, I believed in Santa Claus for a long time, but eventually I figured out that was the wrong way to think. So we'll get them. But right now, the issue we have to unite on is these unconstitutional vaccine mandates. And together we can absolutely push back on them. I love this sign right here, Vax or Not, Unite for Medical Freedom. That's what it's about. And the other thing that I would say is that the hiding of data around this. How many of you saw Jan Malcolm playing footsie with Walz's chief of staff to mess with the numbers? You guys see this story? Yeah. This should be front page news on every newspaper in this state, but these guys won't report it. Why?
They're biased.
They're completely biased, and they don't care. If the numbers don't fit their narrative, which they didn't, they said, we'll get creative. That is crazy. Can you imagine if the political party after Walz's last name was an R? You'd be impeached right now for doing the same thing, for lying about what the data actually is on this, for trying to control all of us. Remember when he made us into dials and he manipulated us? They want to do that again because we never took away his ability to do that. This fight is too important. We have to stand up. We can't let these career politicians continue to railroad us and steal our freedoms. How many of you here had COVID? Yeah, that's like everybody, right? Let me explain to you as a physician why you have vaccines. You have vaccines so you don't have to do it the hard way and get the disease and get it. But if you got the disease, you don't vaccinate people. Okay, that's how this thing works. I had COVID. I took ivermectin. I'm still here. I don't look like a horse. Yeah? The last thing I would leave you with is this concept around ivermectin and early treatment. Okay? Vaxxed or not, you can die of coronavirus. People are dying, vaxxed and not, around the world. And in this state, there has been an absolute news blackout on the fact that early treatment saves lives. And it does not matter if you want to take monoclonal antibodies or the new protease inhibitors or ivermectin or fluvoxamine or whatever you want to do not sit on this disease. So as a physician, I will tell you, please, absolutely, if you are symptomatic, get treated somewhere. The Minnesota Department of Health should be doing its job and telling you that. Tim Walz should be doing his job and telling you that, but he won't. For them, it's the vaccines only, and if you don't have that, we don't care if you die. No matter what, if you get sick, get treated, please. Stay alive, stay in the fight, never give up the fight for our freedoms. Thank you.
So yeah, if you want to, I'm going to go and be with Dr. Shaw later. 3140 Century Avenue, just north of 694, just south of Century College. He's doing a town hall tonight. So that's another way to just be involved with community.
What's the place?
It's indoors. Quinny's. I'm going to get, my boys want teriyaki wings, and I'll probably get the walleye and broccoli. Roasted chicken, all kinds of good burgers and sandwiches. But yeah, 3140 Century Avenue. It's called Quinny's Pub and Restaurant.
6 o'clock.
And it's at 6 o'clock, I believe, 6 to 8. So we can ask more questions and get to know Dr. Shaw better. And now, our keynote speaker. This man has become such a good friend of mine. I'm taking his course right now to become a functional health coach, and what I'm learning is extremely valuable for myself and my family. Yeah, Matt's coming up here. He's introducing to Connie and Ann there, but Dr. Matt Scott, everybody.
So, how's everybody doing tonight? I'll try and get as close as possible because I love you all. Look at this. Look around, guys. Do you think KST's paying attention yet?
I know.
I heard some no's, so let's... No. But I want to mention something here. This is Lori's sign, actually, Mark's wife. It says, Big Pharma owns the media, right?
Oh, we do. And the FDA.
How did that ever become true?
Money.
Money, right? Who pays Big Pharma? You do. So if we want to take Big Pharma away, what do we got to do?
Not use them.
Thank you. This is the best crowd I've had so far.
Go to your chiropractor.
Go to your chiropractor. I'm a chiropractor, by the way. Who loves chiropractors? Usually that's awesome because
All the money and power.
all the money and power. Thanks. If you Wikipedia chiropractic, I've said this a lot, I've said it before. If you Wikipedia chiropractic, they say we are pseudoscience, we are quacks, we're the nuts people, right?
Thanks to Rockefeller.
Thanks to Rockefeller, who started pharma.
The pharma.
Right?
Yeah, the doctor.
So chiropractors, we're a bunch of crazy people, yet we've been fighting for your medical freedom since 1895. Since chiropractic was invented, we've been getting put in prison so that you guys could choose what you want to do with your bodies. So when do we get to start calling medical doctors quacks? Sorry, Dr. Shaw. He's working the crowd. Love you, man. But when do we get to start challenging the current system that we're in? Because now, yes, thank you. Big Pharma supplements and pays for the media. The other day I turned on ESPN, and usually I don't like to watch TV, but with lunch, sometimes I chill and watch I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Love Dallas Cowboys. We're gonna get some love there. So I flipped on ESPN, and there was three things. I watched for 3 minutes, and there were three things that were on the screen. One was NBA players' reaction to Kyle Rittenhouse court case. Okay. The other one was a Dallas Cowboys player who got COVID and wasn't vaccinated. And the third thing was Antonio Brown faked his vaccine card and gave it to his team to make sure that he was like okay, because he didn't want to get the vaccine. Why do we have to fake a card to tell them that we are vaccinated in the first place? They were ridiculing this guy. They were saying he should be suspended, kicked out of the NFL for not wanting to get a medical injection.
Not like you faked the voter ID or...
Right, not like you faked the voter ID. That'd be like, yeah. That's okay though, especially considering a funny story about that, and this is a side tangent not related to health, but last election I went to go vote and I was wearing all my American flag stuff, red, white, blue. I had these like thigh-high socks. I was really cute. So I went out to vote, and Dr. Chloe, my fiance, was with me, and she was just wearing a shirt like a normal person. And she went in and they asked her for all this information. They're like, hey, can I get your social security number, verify your address? They took a picture of her ID, all of this crazy stuff. For me, they said, do you have 2 pieces of mail? They said, do you have 2 pieces of mail? I said, yeah. And they said, you're good to vote. 8 months later, I got a letter in the mail. They said, you are now eligible to vote in the state of Minnesota. That's part of how voter fraud works, just letting you guys know. So let's get back to pharma. Ivermectin, let's talk about it. Ivermectin's good in acute cases, right? But if we're taking ivermectin prophylactically to prevent us from getting COVID, are we doing anything to stop pharma? Who invented ivermectin? Pharma. So are we still giving them our money?
Not much.
Not much, you're right. It is
Yeah,
cheaper. It's more expensive than the vaccine, though. But what we need to have happen is we need to change our healthcare system. In the United States, we account for 5% of the population of the world. We take 75% of the medications. Think about that. Yeah, you should put them down the toilet. Most medications we don't need. Most diseases are lifestyle-based diseases. Yeah, we are told, hey, you have autoimmunity, you're going to have that the rest of your life. Hey, you have diabetes, you're going to have that the rest of your life. Hey, you have cancer, let's chop your boobs off and cancer will come back somewhere else. Why don't we start challenging them, having conversations with our doctors, or leaving the medical community in general? All of the nurses who are losing your jobs, create a new system. And I will help you. We have PTs, we have anesthesiologists, Dr. Bob, all these people are trying to put together new systems so that we can actually care about your health and not just give you a medication. I always ask this question, how many times have you sat down with a doctor for an hour?
Never.
Never. It's 7 minutes, here's a pill, go home. That's not health care, that's sick care. A vaccine does not equal health. A medication does not equal health. What health is an accumulation of thoughts, traumas, and toxins, and when you remove those, you will move back towards 100% function. That's health. Those are the conversations we need to have. Because we can end this all. We take money away from Big Pharma, ESPN goes down, CNN goes down, all of these people, all of these fake media outlets go down the tank because they lose their funding. And then they'll come to us for funding. Think about that. We could have Mask Off on CNN. By the way, I'm the co-founder of Mask Off. This is my partner, David. The co-founder as well. Please join our meetings. We had Ken McCarthy on last Monday. You guys know who Ken McCarthy is? He helped Robert Kennedy write the book, The Real Anthony Fauci. Who's purchased that book? Thank you. You guys need to buy this book.
I got it.
First of all, I opened it up when I first got it. I'm not going to hold it anymore. When I first got it, and the pages, like you know how some books there's like a space at the top, space at the bottom?
Nope.
This book does not have that. That's how much information's in this book. There were 160 studies on ivermectin. which is crazy. So, how do we change healthcare? We need to build a parallel system. We need to slowly build this system. You guys heard of Paul Thomas before? Anybody? Nobody's heard of Paul Thomas?
Yeah.
So, hey, we got Joanne. Yeah, he's a big fan of Paul Thomas. Paul Thomas is a pediatrician from Oregon. He did a study on vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids when it comes to office visits. Okay? The kids who were vaccinated were at the hospital a boatload more than kids who were unvaccinated. Right? So that shows that kids who are vaccinated are less healthy than unvaccinated kids. And if you read the study, he does a whole lot of math and make sure that it's congruent. But what he did is showed the rest of the world that maybe vaccines, if you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean you're healthier than unvaccinated people. And when we create this parallel system, we actually measure our outcomes, and we see that our society that we've created is healthier than the other society. Those people will come over to our society. We'll show better outcomes, and people will just be healthier and happier and all that great stuff. But in order to do that, we need to step away from the current system that we have that is keeping you down. Whether it's governmental, whether it's healthcare, whether it's the news blasting you with fake news. We need to step away from that and then start creating. I've had lots of conversations with, like I was talking with Mark, is when we create, we need to start owning our own businesses.
Yes. Yep.
We need to start buying, purchasing the things. My mic's working good?
Yeah.
You guys hear me? Okay, good. So, as I was speaking to with the nurses and all those people losing their jobs, why don't you guys become health coaches? Why not? Why don't you actually give people health rather than trying to save their lives, right? Medical community is great. I'll give you that. If I get hit by a bus, I'm not going to go to my chiropractor. That's a no-no. Even Dr. Chloe will tell me to go to the hospital. If I have gangrene, I'm going to try some antibiotics first. Not going to just cut my foot off and see what happens next. But there are alternatives, like for ivermectin, for instance. Have you guys looked into wormwood? Wormwood has the same chemical constituents as ivermectin. So why aren't we taking more wormwood? In fact, Standard Process is a big supplement company. They're completely sold out because people are starting to wake up. They are starting to look into these things. And then we got to get the proper testing done. Right? And what I mean by that is if we want true health, we have to fully understand what's wrong with our body. Okay? So I always use thyroid as an example. Everyone know what a thyroid is? Yeah, hey. If you get that tested by the medical community, you get two numbers. T4 and TSH, right? All right, so, and T3, you get, oh, that's a rarity, by the way. So our profile, Dr. Chloe and I's profile, has TSH, T4, T3 free and total for both of those. RT3, resin T3 uptake, antibodies for thyroid peroxidase, thyroglobulin, calcitonin, ferritin, iron, CBC, CMP, and the list goes on. But that's how you get a proper analysis of how your thyroid works. And then we have to look at the real causes of that health crown, right? Because your thyroid doesn't make a mistake. Your body doesn't make a mistake. Your body's the most amazing thing on this planet. It's just whether or not you give it the opportunity to heal. So we're sort of a biome. Biome? Anybody? Is your microbiome? If you don't have a proper testing or understanding of how your microbiome's working, then you can't really achieve health. And all of this comes back to the simple point of when we break away from the medical community, we take money away from Big Pharma and we can reinvest it into us. Okay?
Down with the medical industrial complex.
Down with the medical industrial company. You know, most of it's made out of petroleum anyways. What was that? Yeah, the throwaway petroleum, so it's not even the good stuff. So, I think Mark wanted to do Q&A. I think you got everybody?
So yeah, just to stack on to what, let's hear it for Dr. Matt. Such a good speaker. I wish I had that talent. But yeah, I want to tell you guys, this is a little maybe too much information, but 8 years ago, I got a Tdap, a tetanus vaccine. I was pushed into doing it. I didn't want it, but they just kept pushing, and I submitted. A few days after that, I was sick as heck. Sick as heck. A few days after that, I developed an autoimmune disease called psoriasis. Imagine that. You tweak your immune system and then you get an autoimmune disease. Well, I'll move a little further ahead. My dermatologist tells me I'm at a high risk of a cardiac event. So then I had a heart attack. lucky to be alive. Tdap, autoimmune disease, psoriasis, heart attack. After my heart attack, the chief cardiologist at the hospital I was at, I asked him, should I change my diet? He says to me, there's no evidence to support that.
Wow.
I am not kidding. I was completely done after that because I know well. I was just looking for him to give me some input, which direction to go. Move a little further ahead, changed my diet, started eating organic, maybe a little less meat, exercising, meditation, prayer. Now my cardiologist says you need no medicines and you're no longer at risk. So take control of your health and stop needing all these medicines.
Say no to GMOs.
So Matt wants to add on to that.
And that stuff happens all the time. We see people who can't get pregnant because their immune systems are so jacked up. And what stimulates your immune system? What's the number? Thank you. I thought we were here for a vaccine rally or like. No, it's your vaccines. And this one's going to be very scary because it stimulates your immune system not just in your arm but systemically. And it stimulates to a level. Think about it. It's producing about 70 trillion spike proteins, and your body's going to fight every one of those. Now, it's not going to provide an adequate immune reaction or an adequate immune response, right? Because we want that natural immunity. Who thinks natural immunity exists? Right. So, who knows? Yeah, thank you. I apologize. But when we have that massive overstimulation of your immune system, we're going to see massive amounts of autoimmunity pop up because that's what autoimmunity is. It's an overstimulation of your immune system, right? So we have that overstimulation, and the number one reason people can't get pregnant is autoimmunity. Because when you are pregnant, you produce a boatload of progesterone. That's a hormone that then is actually an immunosuppressant. So it lowers your immune system because your body recognizes self from non-self. So self and non-self. So if you have a baby, that's technically not you. So your body mutes your immune system so you don't attack the baby. So now we're going to jack up the immune system. Do you think we should be giving these to pregnant women? No. You guys wouldn't be here if you didn't. But we're going to see a massive amount of miscarriages. We're going to see a massive amount of infertility. Infertility, 1/3 of women within the fertile range are still struggling with infertility right now. That number's going to go through the roof.
Thanks to Bill Gates.
Thanks to Bill Gates. You guys see the meme where the lady was wearing the antiviral?
Channel's not out.
It's a disc instead of a mask.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was good. Yeah, virus software on the disc. So Bill Gates came out with that. He's actually selling those $10 a pop. So. But we need to start asking more and more questions. We need to start digging deeper, understanding how the body works. Because when we learn and understand how the body works, it frees us from a society that wants us to be under their control.
What do you think I should
We
say?
know that pharma wants to control us. If they didn't, then why would they be doing what they're doing? So in order to free ourselves, we leave their system, we create our own. And we do that first and foremost by taking control of our health and then helping other people take control of theirs. So, I'm going to hand it back off to Mark. Thank you guys so much. If you guys have questions, let me know.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and promote Matt here more. If you want to learn how to be a health coach, what I've learned in the last few months, unbelievable. It's unbelievable what we don't know about our bodies and what you can do to live a life of health and not need these damn pharmaceutical companies. So we're going to have the famous nurse Anna come up here now and say a few words.
Thank you so much, Mark. Hi everybody, I'm Nurse Anna, also known as No Jab Nurse. I'm seeing so many familiar faces here today and a lot of new ones, so thank you for showing up. I love that we're in front of KSTP today because the media is lying about everything. If you haven't heard me speak before, I have been a nurse and a charge nurse and a director of nursing throughout the entire pandemic. And one of my jobs was to report COVID cases to the state of Minnesota. At one point I had one employee that tested positive, so I had to report that. The building I was in was considered two separate entities, so they also had to report him. And the same employee had a second job to support his family, and they had to report him as well. So that's 3 cases for one person. Wow. So you need to know that everything that's being reported, when they talk about following the data, it is false data to begin with. Sorry, I think I'm right by the speaker there. Okay, can you guys all hear me okay? Okay.
Better.
So I've been telling people just to get that out and get the truth out. And throughout the pandemic, it was just heartbreaking because the government's telling you can't see your family members that are in long-term care facilities. I was with your mom, your dad, grandma, grandpa as they're in their last moments too. And I remember there's one lady who had to call me after her mom passed away. And she said, I think I did the right thing by not coming and seeing her because of COVID. If there's one thing I've seen throughout all of my experience through this pandemic, everyone I talked to said, I would rather see my family and die than suffer alone. Nobody wants to be alone on their last moments. And I would be the exact same way. So we can't have this government control these mandates to be going on. And so that's why we need to stand up and fight for this. And everyone here that is here today is a leader. You got out of your house, you came and you showed up. That's what counts. And there is power in numbers. So you guys need to keep showing up. So thank you for that. Now from here, I thank the candidates for coming because they're making a difference in our state. What we can do, we can all do something to make a difference, whether it's something small in your community, whether it's elections, a school board. Please be there for the school board meetings. My goodness, the children are next. And this isn't even about medical workers anymore. They came to us to put the mandates on first so we can set the example or listen to the experts. No, don't do it. And the fact that we have stood up, now they're coming for everyone else's jobs and the kids as well. We need to continue to show up. So it can be anything big or small, even if, because we all have busy lives. I mean, we are all very, very busy. But anything you can do to support or at least get out and vote, that helps. One thing I do want to touch on though is what can we do now? Because elections are, who knows, how long, 2022, that's a ways out still. What can we do right now? We need to take action. So if you go to the school board meetings, get as many people as you can and show up, and then everyone take their mask off. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to kick you all out? Same with the schools and the mandates. If they're wearing masks, have everyone go to school. You know, kids love coordinating pranks. I did that all the time when I was in school. We'd wait for a certain minute to click, and then we'd all do something ridiculous. Well, let's do that with the masks. What if the whole school takes off a mask at, say, 9 a.m.? What are they going to do? Schools can't function without kids, and you need to continue to follow the money because that's where it's all going. So, everyone, just thank you for being here today. Continue to stand up. Come get warm and get some food at Quinny's after because it's cold out here. So, thank you guys for showing up, and I will see you around. Where's Marco? I think he was looking at Q&A, so.
Yeah, so you guys, if you've got any questions for a chemist, a nurse practitioner, or a doctor, it's Dr. Matt here, just let us know and we'll try to, what's your question?
What's more along the line of a comment, the mandates that malls and governors all over the country have been doing are not legal. They're claiming to have authority because of an emergency, but they're exercising powers that were never granted by the legislature.
Right, the mandates, it's, and I spoke with Doug Wardlaw, who's the candidate for Attorney General, and there's a gray area there, because there still is a national emergency. And so I read through that, and I can't quite, I'm no attorney, but it sure seems unconstitutional to me, but they do all kinds of things that are unconstitutional. The Federal Reserve Bank. Is that constitutional? They're supposed to coin money, but now we have a private bank, so it's like what this government does.
There's no statutory authority for these mandates. It's not in the Minnesota statutes. Woo! We gotta resist.
Yeah, and I think
he's been it's an overreach. And there's actually a Supreme Court precedent that I ran across recently, where they're saying that. Power does not come from emergencies. Power comes from the legislatures. A grant of authority can be exercised for an emergency, but you cannot just exercise police powers.
Right.
You know.
So I think,
you have to have legislative authority.
the mandates being unconstitutional, and I believe they would be for the government to impose them, but when you have private businesses doing them, I believe that's a different matter. You know, so it's all gray. What we're living through right now makes no sense. That's why we're all here, because it doesn't make any sense to any of us.
Hey, Mark, can I say something?
Sure can. So this is David, one of the co-founder of Mask Off Minnesota.
Thanks so much, Mark. So, folks, I just want to point this out really quick. We're in front of KSTP. They're mainstream news. And whatever happened, I'm just going to ask you, what happened to journalism? I mean, seriously, what happened to journalism? You know, Tom Hauser works at this place, and he's considered a pretty good journalist. But, you know, I've tweeted at him numerous times about the fact that, you know, the PCR tests are worthless, and that the lies, the stats from MDH are also worthless and mostly misleading. And some of the stats they say are very misleading. He hasn't responded at all. You know, a real journalist would actually go and look into these things for himself. So that's why as Mask Off Minnesota, we actually requested the death stats from Minnesota Department of Health. It's amazing that no one else did that, except for Dr. Jensen and Mary Franson apparently, but no journalist ever did that. It's funny because, you know, as someone that's supposed to be looking into things, as a journalist, you'd think you would do that, and not have regular citizens like us have to do that, and have to look into these deaths. For example, they're claiming right now that there's 2 COVID deaths in the ages of 5 to 9 category. Well, we actually got the death stats, and we looked those 2 deaths up, because they're using that right now to put propaganda and fear on us, telling us that the kids need to be vaccinated in order to go to school. So there's 2 kids that allegedly died in the ages 5 to 9. So we looked both of them up. One of them actually died in South Dakota, unfortunately. It's a very, very sad story. We don't even know if she had COVID or not, and it's unverifiable because she's not in the death stats, unfortunately. She's in South Dakota death stats, and South Dakota does not provide their death stats to the public, unfortunately. But the other death in Minnesota, the other one in the 5 to 9 category, was a little girl who died not of COVID, died of Lee's disease. And Lee's disease is a thing, unfortunately, she's born with. All right, and most kids that have this die at the ages 5, 6 to 7. She died at age 7. But MDH is claiming it's a COVID death. All right, this is one of many, many examples. Another one was ages 20 to 24 we looked up, and this person died of an overdose, but also is claimed as a COVID death. MDH is misleading us, all right? And we're not saying all of them are not real, but some of them definitely are very, very suspect, to say the least. Now, how come the media is not doing this investigation? Why is it regular citizens like ourselves have to do this? All right, and that's why I'm really glad that we're all here today. I want to do this in front of Care 11. I want to do this in front of Star Tribune. I want to do this in front of Fox 9 and WCCO as well. They all need to know we're on to them, all right? We're on to them. You guys are lying. It's basically paid programming. All right, the news is like a paid program. It might as well just be watching an infomercial. And that's what it is, an infomercial of a big farmer nowadays. All right, so I want you to remember that. Is these people right here, this is the main reason why we're in the situation we are. Without the complacent nature of the media, we would not be in the position that we are in right now. So please join us at maskoffminnesota.org, maskoffmn.org. We have a newsletter, we have weekly meetings, and we're fighting back against this tyranny. We're debunking the stats that they say. One of the stats they say right now is, COVID is one of the top 10 causes of death in ages 5 to 9. Well, that's interesting because when you actually have the death stats, you can look up that last year, for example, 45 kids, 45 out of the 50,000 people that died in Minnesota, 45 children died total in Minnesota. So when they say, oh yeah, COVID's a top 10 cause, well, all it takes is one death to make it a top 10 cause. They're misleading us with these stats, all right? So thank you so much for coming out, guys. Check us out, maskoffmn.org. Thank you.
Yeah, Care 11 called it, they said that it was the 5th leading cause of death right now in Minnesota for kids 5 to 11. Do you know what it takes to get to the 5th leading cause of death for a child? Like, struck by lightning? I mean, it's just misinformation, and if people don't think, they're just going to be afraid. And I'll mention something too. I went and watched Stu Peters speak too. So we talk about the sheep or the sheeple or whatever, but they are victims. We should feel sorry for them, honestly. When you see someone, and this is what Stu said, when you see that woman pumping gas, double masked, just ask her, what are you afraid of? We need to engage these people because they are truly victims. They're not necessarily authoring their own thoughts. They're just spewing what comes out of these networks. It's really, really unfortunate.
They make it hard to feel sorry because they're so mean to all of us.
Yeah, a lot of them are, but you know what? They're victims. They're mean to us. They wish we would die, some of them. They don't think we should get transplants. They don't think we should get medical care. But again, that thought process is them being a victim of this menticide, this systematic effort to undermine our values and beliefs and then replace them with completely new values and beliefs. It's truly not even their fault. So keep showing up. But does anyone have...
Super point. We should not persecute.
Yes, pretty soon. We're going to do some Q&A. Does anyone have any questions for...
I do. I just have a question about the billboard campaign.
So yeah, the billboard campaign. So with Mask Off Minnesota, Mask Off MN, and the Vaccine Safety Council of Minnesota, and Stop the Mandate MN, we are trying to raise money to do a billboard campaign. We have some really crafty ideas about how we can do this too, so it looks bipartisan and not political, to get people to go to a specific website perhaps and unveil all these truths. But we've got some really good ideas on how we can really truly spread awareness, but billboards are very, very expensive. You're looking at, you know, if you want right up here, $5,000-$6,000 for a month. But to get one when you're entering the city, maybe on 35 near Forest Lake, a couple $1,000s. So we'd like to raise enough money to get 4 to 6 billboards, and we can really, really spread awareness that way.
Yeah! Woo!
Are you guys all aware of the Dr. Peter McCullough event that's coming up? So we've got Dr. Peter McCullough coming in January. I'm not going to disclose all the details right now. We're still hammering them out. But pay attention to the websites. Stop the Mandate MN, Mask Off MN. Sign up at those and we'll alert you. Tickets will be extremely limited. If you don't know who Dr. Peter McCullough is, look him up. He is one of the most published physicians in the nation, and he's really speaking out for us. So does anyone have any questions for the chemists, the nurse practitioners, or the doctor? Got a question?
For the people that, I'm kind to the people that are worried about getting COVID. For the ones that say they got the shot because their family member is immunocompromised, how do you respond to that? Just because when I say I'm not vaccinated, I tell them that their yes to vaccination makes my nose stronger and vice versa. But then they're afraid of me because they're afraid they're going to get it even though they're vaxxed, and they might take it to their immunocompromised.
Right. So the question is, how do we talk to somebody who says they've gotten the jab or they're going to get the jab to protect some vulnerable person? I think that one's easy. Vaccinated people spread it exactly the same and perhaps even more than an unvaccinated person. You know, and there's a lot of data around that. 44% of the deaths in Minnesota since October 20th are from vaccinated people.
Didn't know.
Yep. So Ann can speak to that. So Ann, there's a question. He would like you to re-explain how it's not actually approved by that.
Who asked?
Where did you end up parking? I'm not aware. I'm employed by the Windows Tower.
So Pfizer is making it very confusing, and the ones that the Pfizer vaccines are the Pfizer BioNTech ones, and it is not Comirnaty. So in order to get a licensed approved vaccine, that vaccine has to have the Comirnaty label on it. And none of the ones in the U.S., as we know right now, after speaking with Pfizer reps, they don't have any Comirnaty ones that we've been told. There's no Comirnaty ones in the U.S. Now, some of the reps says that some of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccines, some of the lots are equivalent to Comirnaty. But the problem with this is when you get a vaccine under EUA, even though they say the chemical is the same formula, you do not get the same liability as a licensed vaccine at all. And these EUA vaccines, the government, the pharma, the companies all have way more protection from an adverse event happening. They're protected from all of this stuff. And the reason why you don't hear some of the adverse events like neurological symptoms and stuff like that, I don't know if you guys listened to some of the actual victims of really bad adverse reactions, the people that have been in the clinical study. Some of them after the first shot, when they had an adverse reaction, they were dropped from the study. So they never completed it. And then the other thing is too, they gave them a very structured list of what they could report as an adverse reaction. So like malaise, fever, and that kind of stuff. But there was no myocarditis on the list. There was no neurological symptoms on the list. So of course, on the paper, the FDA white paper, they can say this is the most common effects, right? Or malaise, tired, soreness, and that kind of stuff. There was no other option for the victims or the people that were in the clinical trials to report other symptoms or adverse reactions. But yeah.
Let's go, Brandon!
Under the EUA, could they manipulate recipes, so to speak, a lot more easily than?
Yes, yeah. So so when I said that there were some lots that Pfizer has actually, you can actually find this in some of the lawsuits out there that some people have brought forward, is that it's really just coming from somebody who's done research and some commercialization and stuff like that. It gave me orange flags to know that some EUA lots were considered equivalent, while others are not. If they were all EUA, then why are only some of the lots considered equivalent? To me, that's concerning. Explain why, please. They won't say why, but please explain why.
They won't tell you
They won't.
ingredients, any of them.
Yeah, they only have big classifications of the ingredients, but they don't really go into the detail. And part of that, they claim, trade secrets and that kind of stuff. But Dr. Malone, who is the inventor of the technology, will tell you, if you go to the Global COVID Summit and watch his video, he will give you the absolute truth of the science behind it, because he invented it. And he says that the nanoparticles and some of the chemicals that are used in this to envelope the technology, they don't know the cytotoxicity in it because there has not been long-term human studies on it. The first time they tried to launch this technology for SARS-CoV-1, they had to stop it because of ADE and giving rise to variants, and so they had to stop it. So, it's just, this is just a mass human experimentation is what it is. And I think they use COVID as a way to help reduce the barrier. They create this fear, right? Because any other normal times, if somebody asks you, would you take this experimental injection that's never been tested for long term before, and it's kind of gene therapy based, you would say no, right? But if you're scared for your life and you think this is the only answer for you to protect yourself and your loved ones, then the barrier drops, right? And then you start to hear everybody else, and then they use social pressure to do it, right? And then so yeah, and it's just really alarming to see some of this data that's has been hidden or not reported accurately, right? The CDC at one point actually changed what unvaccinated was. Like a person who got one shot was also considered unvaccinated in that category. Or if you got the second shot and if it's within the two-week time frame, you're considered unvaccinated. I'm sorry, but in research, that is completely not okay. Like if I did that, if during my research, that would be unethical of me to do that. Because once you get injected, you are no longer unvaccinated. You're no longer controlled, right? So, Within the 2 weeks, yeah. So you are only considered fully vaccinated after the second shot and 14 days later. And the other thing and the other thing too is sometimes after people, I know a doctor friend who has treated people who have gotten COVID after getting the shot too. Actually, so that's kind of happened. And then it's when you get a vaccine, when you get a shot, your immune system actually tanks for a week or two before it's able to rebuild back up again. So while it's rebuilding back up, though, your body's actually creating these spike proteins. So your body's fighting off inflammation and the spike proteins. And if the spike protein was actually a human-made virus, well, when you're getting the injection, it's just a big concentration of the virus, right? When you get it naturally, you actually get this slow ramp of the virus replicating. Well, if you get the vaccine, it's just like a huge concentration of it in your body right away. So, and some people can't handle that very well. So,
can you speak to the during the clinical trials for the 5 and 11-year-olds? There was a formula, but then after the vaccine.
Oh yes. So yeah, I know just a little bit about that. I was reading about that. So the clinical trials that they did for the 5 to 11-year-olds was based off of a buffer system that they actually have, that was developed alongside all this Pfizer-BioNTech stuff. By the time that they actually decided to roll it out, they said for stability reasons, they changed the buffer to a tris buffer. And there is no data whatsoever that we know of that we can get our hands of to know what this new buffer system with the vaccine will do once it's injected into the kids' arms. So the formula that they're injecting into kids now is not the one that they did clinical trials with. And I can't tell you if that's good or bad because there is no data. The kids now that are getting injected with it, they're going to be the experimental data. Yep. But the unfortunate thing is the thing to understand about the EUA for your protection is to know that once you have an adverse reaction, your liability to be able to get compensation or help drops way down, because before you can even apply for a claim, you have to have a doctor that's willing to actually diagnose you as having a direct adverse reaction. Well, there's like 90% of doctors right now can't give you that because this is all new. The adverse reactions are all over the place. And if you can't get that diagnosis, how can you even file a claim, right? And if you get an anxiety or stress diagnosis, you automatically don't even qualify. You don't even qualify for it. So,
is there a statute of limitations? Like when you have to?
Yeah. So in the PrEP Act, the CICP part that you have to go to actually file a claim, you have to do it within a year. So you have to be diagnosed, and it has to be within a year. So if you have like an autoimmune issue that develops outside a year, well, too bad. Yeah, and autoimmune issues don't always happen immediately. They happen later on. You're welcome.
Regarding Pfizer and the packaging that the Pfizer stuff comes in, where on their packaging does it say these issues that you're talking about? So
far, everything that I have, as far as in the box goes, I don't actually see the vaccines. I don't work with the vaccines, but some of the doctors that have actually obtained some of the papers in there, it says it's just blank. There's nothing.
You're talking the papers in the box, or you're talking about the packaging itself? Normally vaccines and so forth would have packaging that would have disclosures on there.
Right, indications and stuff. Apparently, so far as I've been able to research, it's blank. The inserts are blank. It says this is intentionally left blank. And so some of the more recent revelations from FDA, like myocarditis, pericarditis, and all that, it's on their updated, like, Pfizer paper.
Okay.
So yeah, you have to go there to look for it. I'm sure that they'll probably start changing it, but maybe some of the ones that they've shipped out already, they don't have those indications on there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out.
Oh, thank you so much.
regulators just not been there.
So they're mostly gone now. The numbers are way down, but
KSTP, make our voices heard. Some of the candidates spoke.
so
We
no.
want them to tell us the real news and not the fake. We want the real narrative, not the fake.
Okay, what's the real news?
The real news, no one wants a jab.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
Well, a lot of people don't want it for sure anyway.
Thank you all for coming. I'm just going to say a little closing prayer for us. And Lord, we thank you for all the courageous, bold people coming out today and standing up for our freedoms, for our Constitution, for our rights under God, under one nation under God. In God we trust. And God, we ask that you give us strength. We ask you give us influence in this nation to make change. We ask you speak through us. Fill our mouth with your words. Give us opportunity to share the truth with others that can change hearts and minds. And help us to walk in your ways and in your truths and in your righteousness, and give us discernment to know the lies, the deception, the darkness of the enemy trying to take control of this nation. And God, we would ask that you would destroy the wicked foundations that are built on deceit and lies and demonic principalities and tyranny, and that America would be built on a new foundation of truth and righteousness with Jesus Christ as the chief cornerstone, and with it sealed with God knows who are his own, and the Lord, he who confesses the name of the Lord must depart from evil. So help us to have these strong foundations we build America on, so that we can see it restored better than it ever was. And we ask for safety on our drives home, and we ask that we gather many people into this movement, make the patriots, the conservatives, and Christians all together in one force. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Yeah. You did good, bros.
You're awesome, Bruce.
Yeah.
And
well, just trusted the Lord to try to
fill your bucket and empty. Fill your bucket and then empty it.
the main point.
Yep. So where are we at right now, bros?
The obvious in America.
Right here. Where are we at?
Oh, KSTP Channel 5, I was told.
Yeah, that's what we think it
If
is.
you watch TV, you might know that.
I don't know. It's
I don't really
Hubble
know what channel it is
Hubble
anymore.
Broadcasting. So I generally like Hubble Broadcasting. So
Netflix, yeah, that's a little bit bigger than Channel 5, I think.
Rob, close it out. I'm proud of you.
Where we are in America is we're in a dark time. We've got a lot of armies against us.
So we're going to have to get going, because we have to get to the next thing. We don't want to be late again.
Yeah.
We don't want to be late again.
Okay. We'll see you at the next event.
See you soon.
All right.
See you soon.
All right. We're going to go to Quinny's. So that'll be for, when is that supposed to start?
Is that for somebody?
Do you like it?
Oh, yes, I would.
It's not too cold.
I haven't had water since home.